Okay. I am literally on my way out the door. I am catching a flight tonight. I'm actually heading to Salt Lake City, which is kind of funny that I'm leaving Adobe Summit that was born in Salt Lake City when a guy named Josh James, who had been over at Omniture and had started this party in the snow and then slopes and brought marketers out to engage in a little content chaos, uh, started this thing called Summit. And when Adobe acquired Omniture in that long history of creating this whole digital marketing world that we live in, they bought Summit too. And, so Summit used to be in Salt Lake and it used to be a big party and it was great. And it's now moved to Vegas and it's still a party and it's still great. But yeah, I'm heading to Josh James's second party called Domapalooza. So I'll be back on here later in the week to wrap that up. But before I leave Vegas, I could not leave without leaving you with some of the big news highlights. Listen, you've been seeing me kind of update you from the ground, whether it's on Twitter, some limited stuff I've been able to put on LinkedIn, some videos and stuff. And there's going to be a lot more coming in the upcoming days. So I just want to say that. But there was a lot of news. There were a lot of announcements. There were a lot of kind of big announcements that were like these like nesting dolls that like you would just keep unpacking announcements because like announcements gave birth to announcements and then there were more announcements. And I can't unpack it all in the time I have before I've got to jump into a taxi to get up out of here. But this is what I can do. I can talk about a couple of the highlights. And I want to talk about a couple of the big news items that you're going to likely hear a lot about. And, I've picked one that you might not hear about a lot about, but I want you to know about anyway. Okay. Biggest news of, I think, the week is a lot of what Adobe has introduced around agents. Has anyone heard the word agentic recently? I'll wait for you to respond to that one, I guess. Yeah, agentic's been all the rage. We know that everyone's been talking about it. I shot a quick video last night after a couple keynotes here on the ground where I said it. Listen, Adobe has put that flag in the ground. They've put that T out there where they are defining what agentic and what agent is for Adobe, what that standard is and what they're going to hold themselves accountable to and for. Go back and check out that definition. One of the products that falls into that category is the announcement of the Adobe Experience Platform Agent Orchestrator. Okay, it's a mouthful. What does that mean? You're going to hear me use a lot of alphabet soup. I apologize, but like all enterprise technology firms, Adobe really likes their acronyms. So Adobe Experience Platform, AEP for short, AEP Agent Orchestrator. It is that single interface, that single platform that allows you to manage and probably more importantly, orchestrate AI agents across Adobe and across third-party agents and solutions. So this is not just an agent that sits and an orchestrator that sits on AEP for Adobe and only Adobe and is like managing a bunch of little bits and pieces and things that fit, right? These aren't just the kind of up and down single thread agenty bots, whatever you want to call them, that we've been seeing across other solutions. This is really an opportunity to orchestrate not just across the work of marketing and engagement, also when we start to look at the B2B environment across the work of marketing, certainly revenue, sales, growth, etc. This really takes all of those workflows of experience and extends them into those third-party environments and allows you through this single interface of Agent Orchestrator to be able to really have that, I hate to use this phrase because y'all know I hate it, single pane of glass. That's what it is. So I got to call it what it is. It's really through that. It's all of those agents, all of those applications in that single interface. Super important that it also includes that third-party stuff. right? This is extending and connecting all of this marketing and experience, sales, B2B. It is extending it across that process and that workflow and into the other places where it matters, and where what we are finding is where those workflows and these agents just drop the ball, right? So you get this great workflow that you're thinking about, like, oh my God, I want to do this audience segmentation agent. That sounds great, but only if it goes someplace and does something, right? That's what we're finding is kind of the downside of agentopia that we seem to be living in. The nice thing about Adobe's view on this is, of course, it's going to be kind of that CXO-oriented knowledge base, right? You're going to be able to kind of create that and craft that based around what our language is and what our knowledge and what those assets are that we need them to point to. But it is also about the decisioning. It's also about the reasoning that these agents are capable of doing. It's about the LLMs. Of course it is. But it's also about the fact that these workflows, these agents, these automations are adaptive, right? They are autonomous. They are acting. They are either guiding or they are acting and doing. So that's super important about this orchestrator. What you're going to start to see is more things being built on the orchestrator as the orchestrator is built on and in Adobe Experience Platform. So if you remember AEP, it's that single, another phrase I hate, single source of truth. It's kind of, let's ignore that phrase for a second. AEP is that shared single schema of data. It is the shared services that are so important, not just for the Adobe solutions, but for a lot of the various applications that even partners have been able to build on AEP to be able to extract and connect and to do all of the wonderful things that everyone from Accenture and IBM to Wipro and Infosys have been able to do on and with AEP. So you're going to see a lot more about that. These agents that are in the orchestrator, they come out of they have about, I want to say 10 to 18. My brain's fried. Please don't hold me to that number. But there's, let's just say there are a handful of very specifically crafted and intentionally curated agents that Adobe is releasing with this orchestrator that are out of the box, ready to roll into these environments. And it is everything from, an audience agent to an experimentation agent. These are not just, again, single points of work. These are multiple functions, multiple algorithms, multiple prompts, this is that collection that speaks to that business need or business demand. So if you are looking at a segmentation or audience agent, your first question very well may be, how many of these segments do I have? Instead of build me a segment, right? It's about really being able to set AI and generative AI into being a far more intelligent and actionable and, quite frankly, autonomously acting and reasoning sitch than we've got right now. Okay, that's number one, because I can't go on for 30 minutes here, people. I love y'all, but I got to catch a flight. So let's talk about a couple other things. Here's one you're going to hear a lot about, and rightfully so. All of my friends in service, all of my friends who believe that they are creating self-service experiences, everyone who wants to call something that they are building a concierge, I want you to check this out. Adobe Brand Concierge. It is a new application that is built on AEP's Agent Orchestrator. This thing is hot. I'm not going to lie. I wanted to think that it was just like a weird bot interface. I wanted to roll my eyes at Brand Concierge. I did. I think I even told the teams at Adobe this. There are a lot of solutions out there that can build that consumer-facing bot that can give that self-service experience. It is not giving this. Yes, there are a lot that can do that self-service. Can I help you? What's your problem? There are lots and lots of IVA solutions out there. This is not that. Brand Concierge really allows you to build, manage, and configure a really robust, visually forward, brand guideline loving guided experience. It is self-service. It links into all of those back-end solutions and systems that you would expect it to. We saw a great demo that was performed with using a Marriott Hotels or a Bonvoy experience, where this brand concierge could not only tell you, hey, here are some of the benefits that you might get by extending your stay for another day, but here are all the things that you can do. Did you want to book a table at this restaurant? How about a safari that you can get through this? How about a helicopter ride? No, by the way, this is what's happening with your loyalty points. And don't forget that you have another stay coming up in a couple days. It was a multifaceted communication and contextual experience based on customer profile, based on personalization, based on everything that your brand has in that customer's profile, in that information, in that data. And it will guide a customer all the way from exploration through purchase, and quite frankly, even a B2B sense, all the way through to what we would typically call customer success. Brand concierge is going to turn a lot of heads. But if I'm talking about, and I'm talking to everyone in the CX space, and I mean the little CX space where everyone thinks it's just about customer service. Yeah, you guys. Check out the demo. And then go and talk to your marketing team. Go and talk to your marketing team about what you might be able to do if you're already an Adobe customer, and if you are on AEP, and if this is how you've organized your content and your data. This opens up a lot more than you're going to be able to do in other solutions. This thing was impressive. And you guys know that I don't come on here and say that a whole lot about things that I see. But Brand Concierge, I wanted to roll my eyes at it, and I could not. And things hot. Okay. There are a lot of AI things. There are a lot of cool Firefly-y things. There is a partnership with Adobe and Microsoft where there is now a co-pilot for marketing that has image generation in it, thanks to the partnership and kind of full force and function of Firefly. So if you are creating images through your co-pilot for marketing that taps into Microsoft 365, you can now generate images through that co-pilot that are enterprise safe and ready to roll. Because you have to remember, Firefly, with its foundation model and its image generation, is only trained on images that they have the the appropriate use and the permission to use. Certainly training from Adobe stock. They are very mindful of what it means to be commercially ready and enterprise safe. And now you're going to be able to get that through your co-pilot, Microsoft. So lots of announcements like that. But there's one last one that I want to share with you because it's kind of like a nerdy birdie one for me. It's like super content management nerdy birdie, which is, you guys know I love that kind of stuff. And yes, I'm going to introduce you to another acronym, Adobe Experience Manager, AEM. Do not confuse it with AEP. Adobe Experience Manager. It's a content management solution. They have announced a new solution called AEM Sites Optimizer. Okay, so yes, this is going to be able to improve your web traffic, but it's also going to improve that acquisition all the way from web traffic to, from that traffic acquisition all the way through to engagement. And it's really through automated issue detection and diagnosis. It's actually going to deliver solution recommendations to those issues. It is going to look at everything from performance to monitoring to anticipating to detecting and to recover on any of those issues and any of those challenges that might be holding your web traffic back. So listen, if you're looking at your digital footprint and your digital experiences, Sites Optimizer, ton of buzz from the floor, continued buzz from customers and folks on the floor around another three-letter acronym here, AEM, EDS. And that would be Adobe Experience Manager Edge Delivery Services. Tons of chatter about that. It is making a difference in the speed and the deliverability of these sites and of these experiences. So lots and lots of conversation about that. Really hearing a lot of really good buzz from folks in the trenches, customers who are down in the weeds, actually using the solution. They're loving it. Lots of folks are just saying, like, yeah, I'm jumping from an on-prem solution. I'm going straight into, into edge delivery services. So that's certainly top of mind. That's some cool stuff that we got to hear about here. I'm also going to say that there was also a lot of positive buzz and a lot of positive inquiry around Firefly custom services, about that capacity to look at Firefly and its generative capabilities and how to really rein that in, specific to everything from brand tone, brand sentiment, to brand assets and brand guidelines. How do you train the model? You train it on your colors, you train it on your assets. I want it to look exactly the way I want it to look. So when you start to think about those custom services and you start to think about all of that RAG that's going in, that's really refining what that augmented generation and what that training and that tuning is going to look like, you want it to be about your brand. You want it to be about your voice, your vision. You also want it to be about your crowd, right? You want it to be about your customers and your people and what they expect and what they want to anticipate from you. And that's a lot of what we're seeing from Adobe and how they're enhancing that. You're also going to hear a lot of buzz around the words Gen Studio. You're going to hear a lot of conversation. We heard a lot of conversation around the content supply chain. I am writing up something about my thoughts on that. So that'll come out in a little while. So not going to really cover it here. But listen, here we go. Final thoughts before I get up and out of Sin City, at least for this week. Adobe gets, I think, kicked around a lot. At least Adobe ends up being a big target for a lot of solutions and a lot of vendors out there that really want to be able to engage and sell to marketers. There was some kind of crazy rumor that went around that CMOs had this like ton of budget and we like to light it on fire and just buy stuff. So everyone who wants to sell to a CMO, everyone who wants to sell to a marketer, they are going to target Adobe pretty quickly. And I think Adobe, for the most part, weathers that storm quite nicely. This summit, for sure more than last year, if I'm being fair, this was the year that all of the sausage making, all of the replumbing of solutions, all of the no, really, it's the cloud, and no, really, you need to get off the on-prem stuff. No, really, it's about edge. Like all these things and all the fits and starts. This is the year that it felt like this is a new chapter. And I don't know how else to describe that. It's not that Adobe has finished doing one thing and now it's going to go do another. That's not what I mean. I mean that if we are looking at all of the wonderful phases of evolution that marketing goes through, this summit feels like we've hit the next floor on the escalator. And now it's time to go explore it. And whether you feel that the new merchandise on this floor and the new opportunity on this floor is because of AI, or if it's because of data, or if it's because of creation, whatever department you want to go look at on this floor, there's going to be something there for you. But it really does feel like Adobe has opened a new door to some really new and interesting and exciting opportunity. And we had a chance today, and I'll give you an example. We had a chance today to talk with the executive team from Adobe, and it was everyone from their CEO, Shantanu Narayan, David Wadhwani. We had Anil Chakravarti. We had Laura. Listen. It was like CEO, presidents, CMOs. It was a power panel. It was a power panel of Adobe leadership. And the thing that was so interesting, I think the thing that was so true was that every single person here really loves marketing, even when they're not a marketer. I mean, so the funny thing was I I asked Shantanu Narayan about, because kind of the joke has been that for the last 2 years, Shantanu has been the CMO of Adobe, when their longtime CMO, Ann Lunis, chose to leave the organization and retire. He took his time. He was very intentional about his search. It took 2 years, right? And in those 2 years, he took the time to really experience the role and experience the job. And there are not many CEOs of massive experience and engagement platforms like Adobe, where the CEO who is like the tech guy, like, he's like tech guy. Yet he took on the job, right? Now, he also said many times he was super happy to get rid of the job, so he's not crying that he doesn't have like multiple hats to wear right now. And Laura coming on board has been, you can feel that change. You can, Laura and Rachel, listen, the marketing leadership now, the CMO leadership now at Adobe is fire. Okay. We will talk about that later. I will, in fact, I will write an update just about that for you guys because it is absolute fire. But what I think is important about what the executive team was sharing was that in a world where you can, Shanu said that, that he has to do that Adobe has to do the flag planting and the road building. Right? And that's true. But I think what's so interesting is that oftentimes you have to repave roads. Yes, you've got to build the road, but sometimes you got to go back and repave it. And I think for the past several years, Adobe has been in a bit of a motion of repaving a lot of the roads to make marketing and experience and engagement a smoother ride through familiar territory. Now, in this age of agents, in this age of customer self-service and all of the things that we're facing, Adobe truly is road building. The question is how many of us are going to take the fast lane and really test out how this road is built, or how many people are still going to be in the experimentation slow lane and potentially miss out on a lot of things. So I think that what I'm walking away from Las Vegas with and what I'm walking away from Summit with is Adobe has planted the flag. We kind of know where we need to be heading, right? They're building the road. They're building the road with us as part of the crew in that feedback loop, right? But most importantly, they're building the road to have more lanes. They're going to have a lane if you want to drive fast, but they're also going to have a lane if you need to experiment and if you need to maybe go a little slower. Then they're going to have a lane still with partners, and it's going to show them how the partners can build a whole nother deck to the road, right? So they turn a page at Summit, and I don't know what this next chapter holds. I just know it's going to be pretty fun, and I know that it's going to be a lot of all the things I've been working towards as a marketer, all the creativity, all the data, all the insights, all the experiences, all the engagements. This is what we've been working for, everyone. Now we just got to go have fun with it. Okay. I'll talk to you guys later from Salt Lake City. Peace out.